It's not even February yet. We haven't even crowned a Super Bowl champion. But if you're a fantasy football degenerate like myself, it's never too early to dive into some way too early fantasy football rankings. What is going on, Headliner Nation? Hopefully everyone's doing well out there today, where yes, we're talking about some way too early wide receiver rankings for 2024 fantasy football. Now here's what's crazy. When you look at the wide receiver position, you're not going to find a deeper position in fantasy football. My plan in this show was just to go through the top 12, the big name guys, the guys who I really feel have the best shot of finishing inside the top 12. As I started to go through the rankings, there's like 30 guys that I could see finishing inside the top 12 in 2024. It's going to be really interesting to see how not only the NFL draft plays out, but free agency as well. We could have a few wide receivers here this offseason find themselves in a little bit better opportunity that could definitely bump them up the list as well. But before we get into these way too early wide receiver rankings, I gotta shout out today's sponsor, Mando. And no, I'm not talking about some Star Wars TV show, even though I do enjoy that show. But anyway, I gotta be real with the fellas out there. Pay attention, because I'm gonna drop a little bit of knowledge, something that maybe your friends won't tell you. I will tell you, some of y'all need some better deodorant, and honestly, Mando is that better deodorant. This is a whole body deodorant. It's like an all-terrain vehicle. I put this on everything. Literally, it goes everywhere, from your pits to your package to your feet, even some of those pesky skin folds that some of y'all got. I just put it all over the place because body odor happens everywhere. So why do we only put deodorant under our arms? Mando is powerful and it's clinically proven to control odor for up to 72 hours. However, it's still gentle enough for some of your sensitive bits. But because I love y'all, I gotta give it to you at a little bit of a discount. Be sure to use code word headliners at checkout at shopmando.com to get $5 off a starter pack. Now, I've been using this stuff for the last couple weeks, and let me tell you, I've been fresh as ever since. Personally, I love the combination of the unscented Mando with your favorite at-home cologne. But I want to be sure that you control body odor anywhere. So remember, use code word headliners at checkout over at shopmando.com to get $5 off your starter pack right now. Which then only leaves us our fantasy football rankings to dive into. And we're not wasting any more time. We're diving right in at number 1. Can you guess who it is? And if your guess was Tyreek Hill, you were absolutely correct. Hit the like button down below if you were correct in your guess. But we have to remember that Tyreek Hill, even though he had a huge season in 2023, he was not healthy down the stretch. Do you remember those news clips when his house caught on fire? That sucked, but he was even in a walking boot in those videos. The guy was dealing with lower leg injuries majority of the second half of the season. What's really going to change in Miami's offense from 23 to 24? Probably not a whole lot. So as of right now, I'm leaving Tyreek Hill at number 1. Number 2, it's CeeDee Lamb. Last year's overall wide receiver 1. He just had 181 targets and over 1,700 yards, 10 of his last 12 games. This year, he had at least 10 targets in, and even had a couple games where he saw 17 targets. This guy is going to continue to be the focal point in this passing offense. Now, while we maybe can't expect that exact same number year in and year out, he has to be one of the quote-unquote safer high-end wide receivers in 2024. How about number 3? Another safer option as of right now. It's Amon-Ra St. Brown. The Lions were 9-1 this season. Every time Amon-Ra scored a touchdown, he had a career high in every category. Even though they had guys like Jamison Williams and Sam Laporta and Josh Reynolds and 2 stud running backs, Amon-Ra went out every single week and was the clear number 1 option in this overall offense, one of the better offenses in football. Amon-Ra is at number 3, which takes us now to number 4. It's Justin Jefferson. Now, honestly, I'm a Jefferson truther. I love myself some Justin Jefferson, but who the hell is his quarterback going to be here in 2024? We do not know at the time of this recording. Plus, once they do bring in a new quarterback, how are they going to split targets not only between Justin Jefferson, but between Jordan Addison and TJ Hawkinson as well? We saw what this offense could look like with below average quarterback play at times in 2023. So until we really find out who their quarterback is going to be of the future, Right now, Justin Jefferson's at number 4. Number 5, it's Jamar Chase. And honestly, he's probably going to be creeping up my list just a little bit as the offseason goes on because Joe Burrow should be getting closer and closer to being fully recovered. Plus, here's the caveat. T. Higgins and Tyler Boyd are both free agents. Now, while it's still a possibility that they stay with Cincinnati, as of right now, the amount of targets that Jamar Chase could see is absolutely astronomical. He's at number 5 for me so far here this early offseason. Number 6, it's A.J. Brown of the Philadelphia Eagles. You know the guy deserves to be this high on my rankings. When people go out and look at his stats and say 106 receptions for 1,456 yards and 7 touchdowns, and they kind of consider it a down year. He still had 18 more receptions this year than he did last year with right around the same yardage. But I really believe it's because he went ham there in the middle of the season, and then when he started to slow down the stretch, a lot of people got a little bit of a sour taste in their mouth. I'm not hopping off the A.J. Brown bandwagon. He's still at number 6. Number 7, dear Lord, it's Puka Nacua of the Los Angeles Rams, coming off the best rookie season in the history of wide receivers. 160 targets. Are you absolutely kidding me? And that's with Cooper Kupp still playing 12 games. He's an all-pro as a rookie and a huge part of this offense, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. For right now, the young gun, Puka Nacua, he's at number 6, especially because this offense is going to continue to throw the ball a lot with Matthew Stafford, and having Kyren Williams in the backfield, a viable running back that's going to draw defenders in, Puka could feast once again in 2024. How about number 8? This is where I have DJ Moore of the Chicago Bears. He finished as the wide receiver 7 overall last season, but he didn't have Justin Fields for over 4 games. However, still had a career high in receptions, yards, and touchdowns. DJ Moore is another name to pay close attention to this offseason because really, we don't know what's going to happen with Justin Fields. Is he the future in Chicago, or are they going to move on from him? Definitely 100% something to pay close attention to here in Chicago. How about number 9? This is where I have Davante Adams. And who's the quarterback going to be this year for the Las Vegas Raiders? Aiden O'Connell? He's not the future of this team. Jimmy G isn't the future of this team. More than likely, they're going to have a new starting quarterback in 2024. Who is that going to be? I do love that the Raiders retained Antonio Pierce, no longer the interim head coach, now the full-time head coach, and I do believe they're going to start making some of these adjustments to really turn this franchise around. So for right now, Davante Adams is sitting at number 9. Number 10, it's Garrett Wilson, inside the top 10 again here this offseason. Why? Because Aaron Rodgers should be back and healthy, and when that's the case, we take Garrett Wilson to elite territory. This guy had 95 catches for 1,042 yards and had the worst quarterback play all season long in the entire NFL. If he could do that with all those quarterbacks in 2023, imagine what he could do with Aaron Rodgers. All right, number 11, this is where I have Brandon Ayuk with the San Francisco 49ers. This offense in San Francisco is really just too hard to not have their top offensive players ranked fairly high. Why do I have Ayuk over Debo? Ayuk stays on the field more, right? Debo struggles with injuries. We'll talk about him here in a few seconds. But Brandon Ayuk is the guy they're going to utilize deeper down the field. Doesn't need huge volume to put up huge days, plus gets looks in the red zone. So Brandon Ayuk's at 11. And then number 12, it's Rashee Rice of the Kansas City Chiefs. I may have him ranked higher than anyone else as of right now. I know it's still early, but 12th overall, that's pretty spicy. It really is. But he's the only wide receiver in Kansas City that gets a consistent target share. And he averaged 14.8 fantasy points per game over the last 6 weeks of the season. That total right there would have put him 8th highest on the list for the year. Rashee Rice has a ridiculous ceiling. Hopefully they keep feeding him targets because right now I got him at number 12. But like I mentioned in the opening, I couldn't stop at 12 because there are so many guys that deserve a potential top 12 ranking. So here are my next 12 guys on the outside looking in there in no specific order. The first one, you didn't see Stephon Diggs on the list, and you probably know why. Whatever happened in this Buffalo offense really tanked the value of Stephon Diggs. The final 9 games of the season after firing offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey, Diggs only averaged 5 catches for 43 yards a game and only had 1 touchdown over that span. He's going to be dropping down rankings until we get a little bit more clarity on WTF is going on in that Buffalo offense. What about Mike Evans? Dude had a huge year, carried a lot of people in fantasy football. Technically, right now, he is a free agent. We do not know where he's going to play. If it's my opinion, my choice, I want to keep the guy in Tampa Bay. He's had a great career. Let him continue to stay there, but we'll find out. How about Nico Collins? He wasn't inside the top 12, but definitely could be. The reason he's not, we're going to have Tank Dell back in this offense, and we saw when Tank Dell and Nico Collins are both active in this offense, they have a tendency to eat into each other's ceiling just a little bit. I love CJ Stroud. I love the future of the Houston Texans. I love the overall offense, so Nico Collins is a name to not forget about. Right along with Michael Pittman, another guy who's going to be a free agent here this offseason. Definitely need to keep him in Indianapolis. Anthony Richardson's going to need some stud wide receivers. Michael Pittman needs to stay there, and we've already seen that he can be one of the more consistent wide receivers in fantasy football. How about Keenan Allen? It's crazy that he missed 4 games this year and still had over 1,200 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns. Plus, we know there's no more Brandon Staley coaching this team, and Justin Herbert's going to be back healthy. I'm not writing off Keenan Allen just yet. Here we have Debo. And like I said before, he just needs to stay on the field more. His ceiling is higher than that of Brandon Ayuk's, 100%, but his consistency, it's just not there because he can't stay healthy enough to stay on the field. Which is then where we have Chris Olave up here next. Now, Olave just had 87 catches for 1,123 yards and 5 touchdowns, and people are calling him a bust in 2023. That really speaks to what the potential ceiling could be of Chris Olave, and now we're going to get him at a discount in 2024. Same thing with Jalen Waddle. In a season riddled with nagging little injuries, he just underperformed, but still had 72 catches for 1,000 yards and 4 touchdowns. How about Cooper Kupp? Can he come into this season healthy? He still averaged 8 targets a game in an offense that's going to continue to throw the ball a lot. He just struggles staying healthy as well. Devontae Smith, we've seen him produce in 2023 with and without Dallas Goedert. Because right now I'm feeling so damn fancy. Devontae Smith is a consistent top 20 wide receiver. How about DK Metcalf? Honestly, I'm most concerned here about the coaching change. No more Pete Carroll. How does that offense differ in Seattle? Plus, the second-year emergence of Jackson Smith and Jigba is something we need to pay attention to and put a little bit of stock into as well. And then what about Tank Dell? I mentioned him when we mentioned Nico Collins. He's going to carry that name value into fantasy football drafts here this offseason. And this Houston team looks like it's going to be an offensive powerhouse for plenty of years to come. Tank Dell, another guy that definitely has top 12, top 15 potential in 2024. Which then leaves me 6 guys to kind of round this show at an even 30 players. And I labeled them as sleepers. Are they sleepers? Not really, because you're going to recognize all these big time names, but these names are going to be ones that you may get at a discount in 2024 that you need to kind of keep a note on and pay attention to this offseason. The first one is T. Higgins. He's a free agent. He's going to have an opportunity to go somewhere and be their number 1 option, not play second fiddle to Jamar Chase. Now, does he stay in Cincinnati, or does he move on? A lot of people were burned with T. Higgins in 2023, so he's going to be cheap in 2024. How about Drake London? A lot of people had high expectations in 2023, and then Arthur Smith happened and absolutely killed majority of the Falcons' weapons. Well, Arthur Smith isn't there anymore. If things have to get better, Drake London will be at a discount. And then we have Jaden Reed of the Green Bay Packers. Why isn't Jaden Reed higher? If you watched us all season long, you know how much I like Jaden Reed, especially in this Green Bay offense. But what we don't know is how healthy is Christian Watson, Fantasy Bigfoot, ever going to be? Because if he is 100% fully healthy in this offense, that is going to eat in to the potential production of Jaden Reed. So that's definitely something to pay attention to here this offseason. We haven't seen Christian Watson be healthy since he entered the NFL. If for some reason he is in 2024, that hurts Jayden Reed. If he's already dealing with injuries in training camp in the preseason, Jayden Reed needs to be scooped up probably a little bit earlier than some may think. How about Calvin Ridley in Jacksonville? Is he going to stay in Jacksonville? Because technically he's a free agent right now, and he was underutilized this past season. He showed glimpses of what he's capable of, but does he find himself in a better opportunity here this season? He's a name to pay attention to. What about Zay Flowers in Baltimore? The clear wide receiver one in Baltimore. However, with Mark Andrews more than likely being healthy next season, does that kind of eat into the potential opportunity that Zay Flowers sees? And then Christian Kirk in Jacksonville. A lot of people have forgotten about Christian Kirk. But if for whatever reason Calvin Ridley does move on to another team, we've seen what Christian Kirk can be in this offense when he is the number one option, and he's verged top 12, another name to be sure to pay attention to here this offseason. But all right, that's going to wrap up my way too early wide receiver rankings here for 2024 fantasy football. This list is probably going to change no more than 100 times over the offseason here this year. Like I mentioned earlier with the NFL draft and free agency, things are going to change, but I'm a firm believer if you want to find success in fantasy football, you need to stay on top of this stuff all season long. We're going to be coming out with so much detailed information this offseason. We're probably going to blow your fantasy football mind, so if you haven't subscribed just yet, be sure to do so. And then on your way out, if you haven't liked the video already, please do so in the off season. They definitely help us out here a lot, but I'm going to go ahead and get out of here for the day. Hopefully you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and then most importantly, do your part to make the world a better place.